Well, hey, welcome back. Or if you're new, welcome for the first time. I'm Ben Palacios, and you're listening to Steamy Stories, written by J.C. CALCIANO. This is The Sexy Stableman. Charlie was just growing into his looks. He was always cute, but now he was developing strong, masculine features, and was quite a looker. Charlie's dark hair and bright blue eyes made him stand out. He was also taller than most of the boys in his graduating class. Being an avid swimmer gave him well-defined muscles and a slender torso. Others started to take notice of Charlie's attractiveness, but he was completely unaware of it himself. Charlie's childhood was spent hanging out with his best friend Griffin, who lived in a large mansion on the shore of Long Island. Charlie spent many nights fantasizing about Griffin's au pair, a young French girl several years older. For the last 5 summers, she would fly to the States and care for Griffin while her parents traveled the world. Her name was Dominque, and she was a beauty. Her golden blonde hair framed her soft porcelain skin and fine, delicate features. For a young woman with a small frame, she was remarkably busty. Charlie was attracted to her unapologetically free French nature. Over the years, Charlie and Dominque had become good friends. When Charlie was graduating high school at 18 years old, Dominque was in her mid-20s. "Charlie, next summer I will no longer be working here," said Dominque. "Before you go to university, if you like, you may come spend the summer with me in Corsica. Visit with me and see my country. It will be a splendid treat." The idea of spending the summer with this beautiful woman excited Charlie. He hadn't admitted this to anyone, but he was still a virgin. He wanted Dominque to be his first. What better way to lose your virginity than by making love to a beautiful French woman on a faraway island on a hot summer night? Charlie had never been out of the country before, and underestimated how difficult it would be to reach the small country village where Dominque was working. When Charlie finally arrived at the chateau, he was exhausted, but the picturesque landscape revitalized him. The rolling hills, horses, and quaint cottages were more breathtaking than he could have imagined. With his pack firmly secured on his back, he swung open the old, creaky door to the vine-covered stone chateau that would be his home for the summer. The inside of this old, restored farmhouse was pristine and perfect. It smelled of fragrant musk and wood. A smattering of tables dotted the main room, where guests enjoyed their afternoon tea and cakes. Dominque looked up to see who'd just arrived. Her face lit up with a warm, loving smile. Charlie instantly lit up too. She rushed over to greet him with a kiss on each cheek. "Oh, Charlie, I'm thrilled to see you. Delighted you could spend some time with me. I have to admit, though, I thought that you were arriving next week." Before Charlie could respond, Dominque continued. "No matter. It makes no difference. I'm happy you're here." Charlie sighed in relief. "Thank goodness it's not a problem," he thought. "I've been traveling all day. Where else would I go?" "Okay, let's get you settled. Perhaps a warm bath? I'll also need to familiarize you with the rules of the place." "Bath? Okay. I'd prefer a shower, but a bath sounds nice." "Oh, and I hope you don't mind if I put you with our stable hostler. He's lovely." "Hostler? Is that the guy who maintains the horse stables?" Charlie was disappointed that he wouldn't be staying with Dominque, but then he chuckled to himself for being so presumptuous. Dominque led him down a path behind the old building towards several smaller cottages. One was slightly larger and more inviting than the others. "This is Julien's place. I'll introduce you now, but just know he speaks very little English." Dominque faintly knocked on the door. A man's voice called out from inside. "Un minuto per piace." The door squeaked open and revealed a man in his mid-20s, shirtless and with jeans unbuttoned. Dominque explained in the man's native Corsican dialect that Charlie would be staying with him. Julien reached and shook Charlie's hand. His wavy brown hair and sparkling hazel eyes perfectly suited a slightly scruffy face that was almost too attractive. His toned torso and well-defined abs gave no question that he was indeed, like the horses he cared for, a stud. Charlie didn't realize that he was staring. His eyes fixated at the trail of fine blonde hair that led from Julien's navel down the front of his still unbuttoned jeans. Dominique's apology snapped Charlie out of the daydream. "I'm sorry, but I've got to get to work. Dinner shift is starting. Tomorrow, I'll take you around and show you the town." "Great, no worries," Charlie stammered, hoping that no one noticed him staring at Julien's muscular physique. Julien clasped his jeans, grabbed a shirt and his leather hat, and left with Dominique. Charlie didn't waste a moment making himself comfortable. He stripped out of his traveling clothes and made his way out to the back green and found the large copper tub. At first, he was uncomfortable with the idea of bathing outside, but that feeling disappeared as soon as he slipped into the warm water. The bath felt amazing on his weary body. Charlie let out a heavy, exhausted breath. He inhaled the sweet country air and looked out at the lush hills beyond. "This is the life," he thought. As he soaked and relaxed, the setting sun delivered a breathtaking light show. Night set in, and time slipped away. Later, Charlie was awakened by the clunk of a door. He suddenly realized he'd fallen asleep on his bed with his robe wide open. Where am I? Julien's indecipherable words reminded him that he was not in the United States anymore. His second realization was that he had missed dinner. Charlie quickly closed his robe, trying to retain a modicum of modesty. Julien chuckled. "You and I will live very close this summer. We will have no secrets." Julien's sexy smile immediately disarmed Charlie. It was true. Staying in the same room together for the next month would afford very little privacy. Julien unbuttoned his previously crisp white shirt. He casually disrobed, revealing his picture-perfect muscular body and apt appendage. Boy, oh boy, this dude certainly isn't shy, and Jesus, now I can see why. "I take a bath now. Join me?" Julien wrapped himself in a small towel and grabbed a bottle of local wine. He held his hand over a second glass, awaiting Charlie's answer. "I had a bath earlier," Charlie explained. "Then you take two today," Julien teased. "Huh, why not? I might as well get to know my roommate better." The two men made their way to the outside tub. Julien slipped off his towel, giving Charlie a very clear view of his perfectly shaped behind before it slipped out of sight under the water. Charlie was less elegant about how he disrobed. "You like vino? Hey, bae?" Julien inquired as he held up the bottle. Oui," Charlie clumsily responded in the wrong language. Julien poured the wine and casually leaned back in the water to enjoy. Charlie was surprised how someone could look both sexy and sweet at the same time. Crickets chirped and the stars sparkled overhead. The cool night air was a wonderful contrast to the warm tub water. A few sips of wine later, Julien leaned forward and inquired, "You came here to see Dominique? No? A friend?" Charlie knew that if anyone could help him get to know Dominique better, it was Julien. Plus, it was clear to him that this stud certainly knew how to seduce the ladies. "We met in the States. We're just friends. But I hope this summer to become a bit more," Charlie confessed with an awkward wink. Julien looked confused. Perhaps he didn't understand English. "You know Dominique is with the matron of the house, no? They are a couple since September. She's quite faithful," Julien explained. Charlie's face couldn't hide his surprise. Was this true? Had he just traveled all the way to be just friends? Julien saw something was amiss. "Is this news upsetting to you? Did you think you would be her lover?" "I must admit I was hoping so." "Yes," Charlie answered. Julien refilled their glasses. Charlie wasn't even aware that he'd finished his off so quickly. "Merci," Charlie answered as he licked the drop of wine from the rim of his freshly topped-off glass. "I am sorry that you are disappointed Dominque is with a girl this summer. But if it helps, I am single." Julien smiled. Charlie was stunned. Charlie couldn't help imagining what it would be like to be with Julien. In the clear bathwater, it became obvious to both men that the idea excited Charlie. Julien rose from the bath and announced that he was going to get some sleep. Charlie tightly tied his robe around his waist, hoping the thick fabric would hide his arousal. Back in the room, Charlie kept his robe on as he turned away and hastily slipped into his sleep shorts. Julien whipped off his towel as if he were alone in the room and put on fresh underwear. "Which do you prefer, top or bottom?" "Excuse me?" Charlie stopped dead at his tracks. "First, I don't do that. Secondly, if I did, what a way to ask," Charlie thought. Julien flatly made his suggestion. "I'll take top. Better for you." "Okay, someone's a bit overly confident. I'm not really sure if I'm ready, especially considering what you're packing, cowboy." Charlie gulped hard. "This way, if you need to pee in the night, no need to climb down the ladder." "Oh, wow, the bunk beds." He's asking about which bed I prefer. Whew. Charlie hoped that Julien would assume his red flush face was because of the wine. "Okay, great. Fine, I'll take the bottom bed." Charlie choked as the words came out. Charlie quickly slipped into the bottom bunk and pulled the sheets up to his chin. Julien gathered a pillow and blanket from the closet. As Julien stood next to Charlie's bed, reaching up to the top bunk, Julien's boxers were eye-level to Charlie's resting head. Charlie already saw Julien's impressive baguette earlier, but somehow it seemed impossibly bigger and more appealing as it swayed and bobbed inches from his face. Charlie imagined reaching out and taking it in his hand, feeling the firm girth of it in his fist. Why was he so turned on? He couldn't understand how he flew all this way to be with a woman, but now all he could think about was this sexy stableman. Charlie knew that as tired as he was, he'd never get to sleep being this turned on. He had two choices, and it was certainly a hard decision. The answer was staring him directly in the face. With two hands, Charlie grabbed Julien's shorts and pulled them straight down. "Oh la la, c'est bon," Charlie thought as he smiled. It was obvious that Julien had the same setback that Charlie did this evening. With that, Charlie decided to take matters into his own hands, and Julien was certainly glad he did. Enjoy JC's writing? Then check out his new book, Revenge of the Brobot. Join the Steam Room Stories bros as one of them finds love with an amorous android while on the run from a merciless marine. Revenge of the Brobot is now available on Amazon in softcover, hardcover, and Audible. Steamy Stories is written by JC CALCIANO and narrated by yours truly, Ben Palacios. You can find Steamy Stories on Instagram and Twitter @SteamyPodcast. Come back next week for another steamy story. Later, bro.